This week, Toronto's Joe Nieuwendyk. The NHLPA presents Be a Player, brought to you by EA Sports NHL 2004. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Welcome to Be a Player. I'm Brett Lindros. Come to you this week from the home of one of the NHL's original 6 teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this week we're going to sit down and talk to one of the Leafs' newest members, Joe Nieuwendyk. Considered one of the premier face-off men in the entire league, Joe has returned home to Ontario and has proven to be a great fit with his new team. Also on the show, Nashville Predators rookie sensation Jordan Tootoo. But first, here's part 1 of our Be a Player profile with Joe Nieuwendyk. Let's start with your signing with the Maple Leafs. How did that all come about?
Well, rather strangely, as you know, it was a tough summer for all free agents, and really the day before training camp was the first solid concrete offer that I received was from Toronto, and they were one of the teams that we were looking at. And then when they called, my wife and I both said, let's take this opportunity. It's a chance to go home and another chance to win a cup.
Well, that's exactly it, right? To get to come home, you get to play with Gary, and also the team's in an excellent position, I think.
Well, it really is, and a lot of people thought that those were the reasons I was coming back, because of the home, because of my relationship with Gary. And really, the teams that I was looking at were teams that I thought were legitimate Stanley Cup contenders, because at this point in your career, that's what it's all about for me, is to try and win another cup.
How would you compare this team with the 3 teams you won Stanley Cups with?
It's hard to say. I think that the other teams that I've played on that have won have been very structured, very organized. Calgary years ago, we were one of the top teams.
Backhander score! Nieuwendyk drove right to the net.
Dallas was very structured too. We had 2 scoring lines, a checking line.
He's open, trying to pass it. Save score!
The Devils organization, they're a robotic team. They go and everybody pulls the same way. This team here in Toronto is a very unique team. I think we play on emotion. It's how we win. We push each other and we get fired up. If we can all come together at the right time, this type of team can also win.
Now let's go back a little bit. How would you compare your second cup with Dallas to your first cup with Calgary?
Well, when I was 22 years old and we won in our second year, I think for both Gary and I, it was like, this is great. Life in the NHL, here we are year 2 and we're carrying the cup around the Montreal Forum. Life couldn't get any better, and I think really took it for granted that it was going to be that easy every year. And for me, it was 10 years without really getting a sniff in between cups. And then when I went through it again with Dallas, I really took it to heart and really savored every moment and realized how difficult it was to get to that position again.
The Dallas Stars! They've won the Stanley Cup!
What was your reaction when you found out you won the Conn Smythe?
Well, it was a great experience, but we don't win a cup unless Eddie Belfour plays the way he does as well, and they could have easily have given it to Eddie Belfour as well. I thought he was tremendous, but I was extremely thankful. Winning the cup, I think, was more important, because it's a unique experience when you go through what you go through in order to win that, how you come together as a team and the memories that you have. It's a little different from winning a gold medal that I also was fortunate enough to experience. Going through a cup run is something that you never forget.
How would you compare your gold medal win to a Stanley Cup victory?
I think I rank them a little bit separately, because they're both very special, and I enjoyed the experience tremendously of representing the country, and who wouldn't want to represent their country? And winning gold, it was an incredible feeling.
Canada!
How would you describe sharing that whole Olympic experience with your family?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I had all my brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews. They all made the trip down there to Salt Lake, and I didn't even think to bring my daughter on the ice after we won the gold, but Gretzky was the one that was saying, hey, throw her over the boards, get her out there. And what a great feeling I have now, knowing that I have some footage of that, some pictures of that, and even today she's 2.5 and she looks back and she knows it's her in Daddy's arms. And for me, that's going to be the most rewarding thing, to have those memories.
It's now time for Be a Player Trivia. To play, send your answer to NHLPA.com/beaplayer. All correct answers will be entered in a random draw with a chance to win an NHL 2004 game courtesy of EA Sports. All other correct responses will be entered for a chance to win an autographed NHLPA jersey. For complete contest rules, visit NHLPA.com and click on Be a Player. Who is the only active player to have scored 5 goals in one playoff game? Coming up, 3-time Cup winner Joe Nieuwendyk.
A lot of it, to me, too, is positioning, and the stars have to line up in order for you to win the Cup.
One of the main attractions here on Queen Street West is the City TV building, which plays home to the nation's music station, Much Music. From bringing you live performances and interviews with today's top artists to showing you their latest videos, Much Music has long been a leader in the Canadian music industry. Joe Nieuwendyk is a new leader with the Maple Leafs, and he hopes he can help the Leafs in their quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. Here's part 2 of our Be a Player profile with Joe Nieuwendyk.
Runner had it knocked away on a whirling move and out front. Score! Joe Nieuwendyk has tied the game. Runner taps on for Joe Nieuwendyk.
Now you come back from Salt Lake, and a couple of weeks later you're traded to the Devils. What was your initial reaction to the deal?
We were extremely disappointed, and we didn't hide that. I just bought a home in Dallas and actually spent one night in that house before being traded. So that's kind of the kiss of death, as it happens a lot. But we really enjoyed ourselves in Dallas, and we're very sorry to leave. I had some good relationships there with some teammates, and but when I got moving along in Jersey and met the guys in that team, you realize that there's good people everywhere across the league.
That now is Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk fed one in front. Score! Jeff Friesen on a pass from Nieuwendyk.
The Devils have been a team that really hadn't changed much since their first Stanley Cup. How did it feel to be a veteran in the league, but a new guy in the dressing room?
I went in there and was just trying to be myself, and I really found that I was able to work in that locker room rather easily. Scotty Stevens, who I consider a great leader, he's probably the main guy I've played with that brings his heart and soul every night on the ice, and he didn't have a lot of time to make sure everybody else was ready, and that's kind of like where I like to chit-chat around the locker room, make sure everybody's on their toes, and so I think we really worked well together in that way, and I just thought that the mix we had there was a great mix of older players with some character guys, Kenny Danico, guys like that, who've been there a long time, and some younger players.
Last one, score! Gianta with the deflection.
The Devils had another great season last year, but weren't necessarily the odds-on favorite to win the Cup. What was the mindset of the team heading into the playoffs?
I think for us, the playoffs really started probably 3 weeks prior to the playoffs even starting. We were in such a tight race with Philadelphia for the division title. And looking back now, I think that was probably the main reason why we went to where we did. A lot of this game is skill and who's the best team. But a lot of it, to me, too, is positioning, and the stars have to line up in order for you to win the Cup. And we had, we didn't really want to face Toronto in the first round last year. We let Philly do that, and they had a war with them, and then they had to play Ottawa. Not that our 2 series were easy, but I think positionally, we set ourselves up nicely to go to the conference final, and it really helped us on our run.
And then a play to Langenbrenner, flips it ahead, here's Nieuwendyk in all alone!
Lead all players. Oh, here's a chance. Here's Nieuwendyk. In shot, score!
Now, you didn't get a chance to play in the finals, but did that take anything away from winning the Stanley Cup?
It was really hard. It was really hard on me getting hurt in Game 6 there against Ottawa and being finished the rest of the way. The guys on the team were tremendous, though. They really made me feel a part of it in the finals. They wanted me around. They wanted me to travel with them. They just wanted me in the locker room. And that really made me feel good. It was difficult in my own mind mentally, but I tried to remain positive and realize that it's a full year and everybody contributed in some fashion to get our team to that point, but it didn't make it any easier. That's for sure.
You've won a Stanley Cup with every team you played for. That puts you in some pretty select company.
You know, when we won it in New Jersey last year, that was brought to my attention, and it really is an unbelievable feeling. You have to be pretty fortunate, too, to be in the right situation at the right time, and I've been fortunate to play for 3 organizations that have been tremendous and all committed to winning. So, you know, here I am in a 4th spot, and I'd like to be the only guy in history to have 4 cups with 4 different teams. So, hopefully we can do that.
Now it's time for Cyber Strainer, brought to you by EA Sports 2004. This week, we feature the animated highlights of Joe Nieuwendyk. Be a Player gives you a chance to ask your favorite NHL player a question. For your chance to participate, visit NHLPA.com. Dennis from Fenwick, Ontario, asked Jose Theodore, "What is your usual pregame meal?" Here's what Jose had to say.
Hey Dennis, thanks for the question. It's a good question. Usually I only have pasta. I don't eat much. I'll have a small plate of pasta and a little ice cream on the side, and that's all. Then I go for a 2-hour nap, ready for the game.
Next, Nashville rookie Jordan Tutu.
Playing hard, you create a room for yourself on the ice, and you know, I think that's one thing that really helped.
Time now for highlights of Joe Nieuwendyk and Jordan Tutu on the Be a Player umusic.ca hit zone with Doc Walker and Get Up.
Take that road up ahead. Don't you think it's time to let go? Time to let it out. Time to let it show. Let's have a good time. We don't need a reason. It's not out of reach. It's just a feeling. It ain't that hard to find. It's just a state of mind. If you're not feeling fine, I got the cure. Take some of mine. Don't you think it's time to forget? Leave your troubles behind. Take that road up ahead. Yeah. Get up, get up, get up now. Get up, get up, get up now. Don't you think it's time to forget now? Leave your troubles behind. Take that road up ahead. Don't you think it's time to forget now? Leave your troubles behind. Take that road up ahead. Don't you think it's time to forget now?
One of Toronto's most unique and historical sites, the Elgin Theatre is also the last remaining double-decker theatre in the world. One of late-night television's biggest stars, Conan O'Brien, recently brought his show here in an effort to boost the city's tourism after last year's SARS outbreak. Mike Myers, Michael J. Fox, and Jim Carrey were just a few of the famous faces that made their way onto the set during his much-publicized visit. One of the fresh new faces in the NHL this season is Nashville's Jordan Tutu, the first player ever of Inuit descent to play in the NHL. Jordan's been making waves with his hard-hitting and tenacious style. Here's a look at Jordan Tutu on Next Generation.
I think one of my fondest memories is, you know, getting our new skates in the fall time and going out on the lakes in the middle of Rankin Inlet, which is my hometown, and we'd all meet up after school. Dad would come out with us and you know, have some fun for a couple hours, and you know, I think that's one of the fondest memories I could have growing up. Where we come from, we're pretty isolated, and when I was 14, I moved down to Spruce Grove, Alberta. I got drafted by the Brandon Wheat Kings. I stepped into the league at 16, playing my second year of organized hockey, and you know, that was definitely a big step for me. And you know, I had to establish myself, and you know, with that, as a player, I matured and you know, became an offensive threat. And you know, I know I can play in different situations. By playing hard, you create a room for yourself on the ice, and you know, I think that's one thing that really helped myself and my teammates. You know, every time we were on the ice, you know, I created room for my line mates, and fortunately they'd always find me in the right places and get the puck home.
Cross ice for Dudu scores!
It was an experience that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It was definitely an honor to put on that jersey every time we went out there, and I played with pride, and not a lot of players get the opportunity to play for your nation. I don't think I could have gone to any other better organization than the Nashville Predators. The Predators are a hard-working team. We come on every night. Fortunately, that's my type of game, and I create a lot of energy. I'm still learning a lot of the ropes, so I'm just taking it one game at a time.
Be a Player Trivia is brought to you by EA Sports NHL 2004. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Looking for the only active player to score 5 goals in 1 playoff game. Don't think too hard.
Active player?
He's hurt right now, but he was playing earlier in the year.
Adano?
No.
Active player, huh?
Playoff game.
It's a tough one. Messi, maybe? No.
Not me or you, I know that for sure.
Yeah. He's the only active player to score 5 goals in 1 playoff game, and it was in Sheldon, Surrey. One player scored 5 goals in a playoff game. Think obvious. Told you it's me.
Brett Hall.
Still no. Easy one. Think go obvious. Well, he's hurt right now, but he was playing earlier this year.
Oh yeah. Mario Lemieux.
There we go.
Active. Mario?
Very good. Close. Very close. Very close. It's one of these owner-player kind of guys. Oh. There you go. Yeah, well, that guy.
Lemieux?
There we go.
Who?
There we go.
Lemieux.
See, I told you when to do.
Mario Lemieux. Oh, that should have been it.
That was a given. I didn't even want to say it.
More with Joe Nieuwendyk when we return.
Growing up, I enjoyed lacrosse more than I enjoyed hockey.
Be a Player, sponsored by EA Sports NHL 2004. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Here now with All-Star forward Gary Roberts. Gary, we're doing a piece on Joe Nieuwendyk. I just wanted to ask, what's it like to be playing with him again?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. We've had some great memories in Calgary, and now to be playing with him in Toronto is very special. He's a character guy, brings a lot to our dressing room, scores big goals, and he's got a lot of strengths. He's a great skater, a good playmaker, a good shooter, so he's really been a great asset to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No question, the overall package. Well,
Overall package, for sure.
Well, thanks a lot. Here's more with Joe Nieuwendyk.
This gentleman played 4 seasons with the Whitney Warriors Junior A Lacrosse Club. Please help me welcome, from the Toronto Maple Leafs, Joe Nieuwendyk!
What was happening out there? You're just dropping the ball at the Toronto Rock game. How did that happen? And
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I have a lot of ties to lacrosse. I grew up 30 miles down the road from here and played lacrosse till I was 18 years old. So I even know a few of those players that are out there. And my brother-in-law is the general manager of the Toronto Rock and asked me last week if I'd come out and do the ball drop for the opening face-off. And sure, I still love the game.
Of course, Joe Nieuwendyk, Toronto Maple Leaf fans, quite happy that he decided to stick with hockey, as the Leafs will try and make.
My hometown of Whitby is lacrosse central. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 teams at every age group, and I was just following the footsteps of my 2 older brothers. They were in lacrosse, so my parents naturally put me in lacrosse, and I loved it. I loved the game right away, and couldn't wait for the summers to come around so that I could get back in the arenas and play some lacrosse. And really, growing up, I enjoyed lacrosse more than I enjoyed hockey.
you won the Minto Cup at 18 and named the MVP. What was that experience like?
It was a great experience. We had a real successful team in my hometown of Whitby. And we ran into a pretty good tandem of the Gate brothers, and I think anybody who knows lacrosse knows Paul and Gary Gate. For us to have beaten them 2 years in a row to win the Minto Cup was a great thrill for us. You know, it was whether you win Pee Wee hockey or novice lacrosse or NHL, when you have a group of guys and you accomplish something like that, it's a great feeling.
This is why he's such a dangerous rookie. Look at these moves. But
Do you think your time spent playing lacrosse made you a better hockey player?
I really believe it did, and I know Brendan Shanahan has said the same thing. I really attributed a lot of my success early in my hockey career to my lacrosse playing days. I think the game situations are similar, the physical aspect of both sports, the hand-eye coordination. You get in front of the net with a lacrosse ball, you want to score, and I think that carried over into my mentality playing hockey.
On the left wing, here's Nieuwendyk splitting the defense. He's in a goal! Scores! Joey Nieuwendyk!
What do you think your style of play lends to a team like the Leafs?
Well, I think we give, I add to the depth at center. I think for years, maybe Matt's, has been needing some guys to play behind him. Not that Robert Reichel hasn't done a good job, but you always need somebody else maybe with a little veteran leadership, and I've tried to bring that to the team, make everybody feel a part of the team, and just try and bring a closer locker room together.
Around the ball and man, a pass in front, scores! Nieuwendyk on a beautiful feed by Brian McKay.
What do you feel this team needs to go all the way this year?
Well, I really believe that we're going to be a tough team to play against, just based on past years and the teams that have gone through. We get good goaltending every night. Our defensive game is solid. It can be better, but offensively we have people that can change the game and put the puck in the net. I think the key for us is to control our emotions. We play with a lot of emotion, as you know, but a lot of times it catches us too because we're penalized a lot. I think that'll be the key, is that if we can stay out of the penalty box and play teams 5-on-5, we'll be in good shape.
Is this the team you'd like to finish your career with?
Most definitely. At 37, for me, like I said earlier, it's all about winning cups, and I really think we have a legitimate shot this year. I can't see myself moving around anymore with my family. We're settled in here in the Toronto area. We love the people, we love the fans here, and everything about the Air Canada Centre. It's been a great experience for us, so I don't want to change at this point.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Be a Player. I've had a great time here in Toronto, and I want to thank Joe Nieuwendyk for joining us this week. Make sure you catch next week's show, as I'm off to the Motor City to hook up with Detroit Red Wings' Steve Thomas. Should be lots of fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Brett Lindros is clothing supplied by The Coop, Clothing for Men, Toronto. NHLPA.com is your source for the latest stats, scores, and NHL player information. Click on Be a Player for the latest show information, or to send us your questions and comments. You'll find it all at NHLPA.com.
Growing up, I enjoyed lacrosse more than I enjoyed hockey, and maybe could have had an opportunity to do something with lacrosse, but I think the dollars might have been a little better in hockey. So.